If there is such a thing as being conditioned by climate and geography, and I think there is, it is the West that has conditioned me. It has the forms and light and colors that I respond to in nature and in art. If there is a Western speech, I speak it. If there is a Western character or personality, I am some variant of it. If there is a Western culture in the small c anthropological sense, I have not escaped it. It has to have shaped me. I may even have contributed to it in minor ways, for culture is a pyramid to which each of us brings a stone. Wallace Stegner was one of our major writers of the West who lived in the 20th century and experienced most of the 20th century, and his writings depict that as you move from the earliest of his publications through the last of his publications prior to his death in 1993. We're absolutely thrilled to have the papers of Wallace Stegner. We, of course, think of him as somewhat as a native son to Salt Lake, as he thought of himself. He saw this as his residence of note. And the collection is a very sizable collection. It's very important. It has a good deal of materials. We have some of it here with us to look at. It details his career and his writings, his correspondence, even some of his diaries from early on. Certainly his Salt Lake time and his University of Utah time. You don't find a lot that shows Wally's writing. He was a typewriter guy, probably would be a computer guy, laptop guy if he were in the core of his writing today. Here we have a notebook where it's basically a diary note. He's traveling in the West, he's traveling in Nevada, and it appears to me, has been into New Mexico and Arizona, spent time on Navajo country. If you look at his body of work and even the titles, the term place comes in a lot. And so this idea of place and what place means and what characteristics does it hold are, it seems to me, are enormously important to him. And he was looking at a West that was changing dramatically from the time of his youth, which basically is he's born in the era of the horse still, and I think he was looking for ways to maintain the concept of the West that was part of his earlier life. We have one of Wallace Stegner's typewriters. I think we have three. I don't know how many he wore out in his career, but he almost never wrote first drafts. He typed, which is a little challenging to the archivist because it's hard to figure out, okay, so which was the originating draft of this work and which was the submitted draft. You can kind of get there some, and he does a lot of his editing by pencil, so you can distinguish that. It's clear he was a very good self-editor. He could edit his own work and was rigorous about it, and appears to me he did it with a good deal of patience. For instance, this is how you would see his manuscripts developing as he writes, and you can see where he's typed it, then he's crossed out pieces he's editing. I believe this is recapitulation. And here's, those are probably galleys. Yeah, these are galleys and examples of the galley. That would be the first full printing of recapitulation. One of my favorite works, partly because I'm a historian, is the work that he did entitled Beyond the 100th Meridian. Beyond the 100th Meridian is about John Wesley Powell, and what he calls the second opening of the West. And in that work, he lays out the career of John Wesley Powell as the explorer of the West and what he accomplishes. And the importance of John Wesley Powell is that he is saying that beyond the 100th meridian and west, the scarcity of water will define how those parts of the West are developed. And this book is about that and about the way in which John Wesley Powell gets to that conclusion. It's a wonderful work, and he writes so well. It reads it's just a splendid read. It is a work of history, and some people refer to Stegner as a historian. I've heard contemporary historians today that they don't quite see Stegner as a historian, but they see him as a writer on the history of the West, and so they make that distinction. Nevertheless, book still in print, still sells quite a bit, a number of titles, and remains a very important work in the bibliography of the West. Of course, the major title and novel that Wallace Stegner is known for is Angle of Repose. It's published in 1971, wins the Pulitzer Prize in 1972, and it elevates him to very much so to national status. He always was angry, bitter, frustrated, if you will, about the fact that writers on the West and writers of the West and from the West had a very hard time being recognized as part of the American literary group. And he felt that. So Angle of Repose is a major achievement with its Pulitzer Prize award in trying to counter that and get recognition for Western writers by the nation. This is the official letter informing him that he won the Pulitzer Prize. It's dated May 1st, 1972. Very brief for such an honor. I take pleasure in confirming the award of the 1972 Pulitzer Prize in Fiction to you for Angle of Repose. In accordance with this action today by Columbia's, that would be Columbia University's trustees, I enclose the university's check for $1,000. Congratulations. As we move further away from that period of Wally being active in as a writer, I think he's probably less read, less well understood as a force on and about the West. In a lot of ways, I think he's still a very viable and articulate interpreter of the West, even though the West has changed a lot since his passing. But I think there's a lot to be taken from his writings that educate you on the West and who we are and what we are in the West.